Good morning, traders. Welcome back to today's Outlier Live, where we cover the biggest headlines of the day and what the AI trading data says about it. And if you're interested in that too, be sure to definitely hit the subscribe button down below. Now, our first story of the day is the biggest sandwich news story you have ever heard of in your entire life. And our second story of the day is the Biden economic advisors continue to lie to you and me and to the American public about just how big of a failure Bidenomics is. Tune in for that and more on today's Outlier Live. Our headline story of the day: Elizabeth Warren applauds the FTC's sandwich shop monopoly probe of Subway acquisition. This could be the biggest sandwich story you have ever heard in the news ever of all time. And I'm not underselling that whatsoever. Hey, if you're just tuning in, my name is Christopher Yule, and we cover the biggest headlines of the day and what the AI trading data says about it. And if you're interested in that too, be sure to definitely hit the subscribe button down below and start trading with AI today. Head to ovtlyr.com to see why outliers win. Now, Senator Elizabeth Warren is taking on Subway, the sandwich shop, right? They applaud the FTC sandwich shop monopoly probe of Subway's acquisition. It says the FTC is right to investigate whether Subway's sale creates a sandwich shop monopoly. Yes, people, you heard me right. We have so little to care about in this economy. We have so little problems out there in the world today. We have so little going on that we really need to worry about a sandwich shop monopoly. Or at least that's what our illustrious Senator Elizabeth Warren is thinking about. So let's take a deeper look into the article, right? There's Elizabeth Warren right there. The page is bouncing around on me. So Elizabeth Warren took to X, the social media platform formerly known as Twitter, to applaud a federal antitrust probe focused on the potential sandwich acquisition of potential acquisition of sandwich giant Subway. Now, this goes on to say Subway's announced in late August that it reached an agreement to sell the family-owned sandwich chain to private equity firm Roark Capital in a deal reportedly worth more than $9 billion, right? Like Mr. Dr. Evil would say, $9 billion. The firm owns sandwich shops such as Jimmy John's, Arby's, McAllister's, and Schlotzsky's. Hey, this is my menu right here. This is where Chris goes to eat. So yeah, looking like they're going to add Subway to the mix of these, right? And I was talking to my parents over the weekend, and they love Red Lobster. Like, they love Red Lobster. They go to Red Lobster for their special occasions. We went to Red Lobster for my parents' 40th wedding anniversary just last month. 40th wedding anniversary. That's amazing. So we went to Red Lobster for their 40th wedding anniversary, and I'm telling you, I was not impressed whatsoever. I was definitely not impressed with the prices, and definitely not impressed with the quality of the food for those prices, and definitely not impressed with the atmosphere. So I'm looking at Red Lobster, and I'm thinking to myself, this place is not doing well. And then I hear that they're shutting down places like Red Lobster. They're shutting down places like Cracker Barrel, right? And they're doing that because the millennials, the Gen Zers, aren't going there. And now we're talking about Subway. I think Subway could be in the same boat here, right? We saw the peak of Subway a few years back before the Jared fiasco. And ever since then, I've seen more and more Subways closing than Subways opening. Now, they're going to be joining in with Jimmy John's, Arby's, McAllister's one of my favorite places, and Schlotzsky's, one of my wife's favorite places. So if anything, I think that this merger could really help Subway, the company, actually do better off. Because if these companies are doing so well, like Jimmy John's, Arby's, McAllister's, and Schlotzsky's, then maybe they can bring up Subway. Because clearly, the family-owned restaurant chain has decided they're not going to do this anymore. And it may be because of exactly what I was saying, that they're seeing more store closures than store openings, and they are seeing the writing on the wall saying, hey, maybe it's time to get out. But Elizabeth Warren doesn't like that. Elizabeth Warren is saying, we don't need another private equity deal that could lead to higher food prices for consumers. The FTC is right to investigate whether the purchase of Subway by the same firm that owns Jimmy John's and McAllister's creates a sandwich shop monopoly. Listen, lady, I don't know what you have going on in your life, but you clearly don't have enough problems. You clearly have your priorities in the wrong place. You clearly are not thinking about what's best for Americans, even though you're trying to spin it that way. If the only thing that you got to worry about is if one sandwich company can merge with another sandwich company, girl, you got bigger problems. Girl, you need some bigger problems. There is so much else going on in the world that this should not even be on your radar, right? I guess I didn't highlight anything else here. I thought I did. Let's see here. The merger is valued. Oh, no, that's not right. Successful black mergers in court. Microsoft acquisition. Subway franchise defined as competitors quick service restaurants. Oh yeah, I did highlight this. I don't know what happened to it. The New York Post noted that Subway franchise agreements for 2021 defined its competitors as being quick service restaurants within 3 miles of a Subway location. And they derive more than 20% from the sale of any sandwiches, right? Now, their franchise agreement explicitly named Jimmy John's, McAllister's, and Schlotzsky's as competitors in the sandwich market. And that can serve as an area of emphasis in the FTC's challenge for Subway's pending sale. So what are they trying to say here, right? There's just too many sandwich places going on. And by merging Subway with these others owned by Roark here, that it's going to lead to higher prices. I don't really think that's going to be the case. My whole complaint about this argument, my whole complaint about this article is Senator Elizabeth Warren really needs some bigger problems to work on, right? How about inflation, right? How are we going to solve inflation, Senator Warren? How about the fact that credit card debt is hitting all-time highs? How about that, Senator Warren? What can we do to fix that? Let's not cause little tiny issues focusing on if this company owns too many sandwich shops. Let's really focus on the big picture here. But speaking of the big picture here, let's take a look at what would happen to potentially another sandwich competitor in Yum Brands, right? Yum Brands actually got a buy signal back on November 6th. And if you've been following these signal returns, you have seen a 58.27% return. Now, Yum may be in the spotlight there for Elizabeth Warren next. Who knows? Because they own lots of companies. They own KFC, they own Pizza Hut, they own Taco Bell, they own the Habit Burger Company here. Maybe Elizabeth Warren is going to be looking at them next. Who knows? I don't know. But I do know one thing. Start trading with AI today. Head to ovtlyr.com to see why outliers win. Now, I really want to go look at the comments for this, right? Because I don't think I'm the only one who thinks that she should have better things to do, right? Senator, what we really need to expose is Subway's footlong only being 10 inches. Oh my gosh, that's a travesty. You're telling me that they're lopping off like 20% of my sandwich? I cannot stand for this, right? This person's laughing. A sandwich shop monopoly, really? And the big sandwich must not win. And we've got these people here with the sandwich investigation unit coming after Subway. Thank you, Senator. For too long, Big Sandwich has been holding back working Americans from experiencing the riches of Bidenomics. Yeah, exactly. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you feel like Senator Warren is in the right direction with chasing down Big Sandwich here? Or do you think she is wasting her time like everybody can see written on the wall? Let me know. I really want you to know if you disagree with me, and hit that like button to let us know exactly what you think what's going on with Senator Warren and this Big Sandwich monopoly. Biden economic advisors continue to lie to you. They continue to tell you bold-faced lies to your face that Bidenomics is working. The Biden economic advisors want you to think that everything is hunky-dory. The Biden economic advisors want you to think everything's great out there. The Biden economic advisors, they're not telling the truth. They're not telling the real story out there. They're not telling how everybody is struggling these days. They're not talking about how the fact that inflation, while it may be down, is still above zero. And with inflation above zero, that means you're literally paying more than you were a year ago on what was already inflated from the year prior, right? Biden economic advisor points to inflation, job trends, and as good signs, despite voters' dissatisfaction. Yeah, voter dissatisfaction is happening because we're the ones who are feeling it, right? We're the ones who are going to the grocery store and seeing that our grocery cart prices have doubled. We're the ones looking at Christmas like, how are we going to afford this year? We're the ones having to deal with the student loans that are now coming due, right? What happened to that big promise of we're going to pay off your student loans? We're going to pay off $10,000 of student loans. We're going to pay off this for your student loans. A lot of voters, a lot of the people who are actually counting on those dollars, they're looking at everything Bidenomics is doing and just shaking their head saying, no, we're done. We're not believing this anymore. We're not believing what you're saying. Because every time you talk, every time you speak, you try to tell us how great things are. But every time I go to Walmart, every time I go on Amazon, every time I try to take my family out to a nice dinner, or even if I just go to McDonald's, we are all seeing the writing on the wall that the economic position in the United States of America is not what it should be. And then we've got senators who are focusing on sandwich shops. Who gives a crap about that? Fix the problem. Fix the problem. And the problem is inflation. Hey, if you're just tuning in, my name is Christopher Yule. We cover the biggest headlines of the day and what the AI trading data says about it. And if you're interested in that too, be sure to definitely hit the subscribe button down below and start trading with AI today. Head to ovtlyr.com to see why outliers win. Now, let's take a look at the story here a little bit further, right? President Biden's economic advisor on Sunday said inflation and employment trends are moving in the right direction, despite many Americans voicing disapproval of how Biden is handling the economy. He wanted to add a nuance, of course, that American voters say they're continuing to struggle with high prices. Everybody is struggling. But the economic advisors and Biden and Bidenomics are all trying to tell you everything is great. They're all trying to tell you there's nothing to have a problem with. They're all trying to tell you inflation's under control now, people. What are you complaining about? Inflation's down to 3%. Quit bitching. That's what they're trying to tell you. That's just not the case, right? Inflation may be down to 3%, but it's 3% more than it was a year ago. And a year ago it was hitting 9%. So that compounds every year. We need to see disinflation. When we see disinflation, that's when prices will actually start coming back down. Just 29% of the people surveyed by Fox News said that the economy had started to turn around, while 67% say the worst is yet to come. And I don't disagree with them, right? Consumers have been stretched so far on everything, on home prices, on auto prices, on grocery prices. There's going to be a point where they can say, I can't afford it anymore. There's actually going to be a fiscal point where they literally can't afford it anymore because credit card debt is hitting an all-time high. And at some point, all of these credit cards are going to be maxed out. And if all the credit cards are going to be maxed out, what are they going to do? How are they going to say Bidenomics is great? Because nobody can even use their credit cards, right? Consumers are the best arbiters of economic conditions, and a more realistic picture has to consider consumers' actions. What are their actions here, right? Their actions are struggling. Their actions are the fact that they're trying their very best to keep up, and everyone is struggling. That's what their actions are. Consumer spending has been driving the economy forward, with growth rates over 5%. Noting Black Friday set online shopping records. Okay, this I had a big problem with. Black Friday hit records because the price of everything on sale on Black Friday was so much more than it was a year ago or 2 years ago. And they want to claim that that is because the American consumer is strong. They're not seeing the big picture here. They're trying to take a little minute data point and say, things are great. Things are great because the American consumer is spending so much, rather than saying the American consumer is spending so much, and because of that, things are not great. Let's be realistic here. That is exactly what's going on. Don't be gaslit in the situation. Don't be gaslit and for them to say, hey, things are great, when you and I both know that that is not the case, right? We're moving on the right track, but we have a lot more work to do. At least they can acknowledge that point. At least they can acknowledge that, hey, they haven't fixed anything. There's a lot more left to do. So let's take a look at what the AI trading data says about the S&P 500. In fact, the S&P 500 has a buy signal from October 17th. All right, let's take a look at what the AI trading data says about the S&P 500. Looks like we have a buy signal all the way back on October 17th. It looks like it's taken off from there. And if you've been following these signal returns, you'd have seen a 106.66% return. That is outstanding. And if you want to get your hands on these outstanding signals just like this, head to ovtlyr.com to see why outliers win. Now let's go see what the internet is saying about this, right? Exactly what I'm pointing, right? Pump up the prices of all the necessities through inflation. Claim that the increased dollar value of spending is a sign of the economy doing well. Tax revenue is increased without changing the tax rate. This person is outlining what I just said. Make everything more expensive. And then say that things are great because everything is more expensive. And I didn't even consider they're actually getting higher taxes because of this, right? They're getting proportionally higher taxes. So they're increasing the tax rate without actually increasing the tax rate. I thought that was pretty smart. Jonathan DeFriend, well done, sir. Gaslighting, exactly. They're lying to your face. Totally out of touch. And then I thought this was great too. Stop noticing the pain that you feel. Stop noticing the fact that things are not working out like we say they are. Stop noticing them. And listen, I don't know how to fix this, but I also don't know how the YouTube algorithm works. And it continues to point out one of these two videos is going to be the best video that you have seen today. And I would definitely click on one of these to learn more about why YouTube thinks this is going to be great for you. Thanks for tuning in to today's Outlier Live. I'll see you on the next episode.